Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Zuli Blog. If you're new here, please do well to subscribe. And if you're one of my subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. Don't forget to hit the like button and drop your comments on what you think about this beautiful design. So in this tutorial, we're going to be building this amazing ice cream slider using React.js. So we're going to be building all of this using React. As you can see, when I click on this next button, the image, this ice cream image, slides in from right. And if I click on the previous button, it is sliding in from the left. So we're going to be, and then the background changes as well. Okay, so we're going to be building all of this using React. We're going to start with CSS and we're going to get this animation. We're going to apply the animation to it using Framer Motion. So let's get started. So right now I'm on my VS Code. Open your VS Code, navigate to the terminal. And on the terminal, I'm going to change directory to my desktop. Then I'm going to change directory as well to a file called YouTube, a folder for YouTube project. I have a folder for YouTube projects, so you can have another folder where you want to store your React app. But for mine, I'm using YouTube projects, so I'm just going to change my directory to YouTube projects. Then you're going to run this command to create a React app using Vite. Click enter. The name of the app is Ice Cream Slider. So once you click enter, this is going to create the React app for you. Now you're going to change directory to the folder, the React app folder that you just created in your YouTube project. So we're there now. This is from desktop to YouTube project to Ice Cream Slider. Then I'm going to install React. So it is building. Let me just enlarge this a little. So we've installed all the necessary packages successfully. Now I'm going to navigate to file, then I'm going to open folder. Then in my desktop, remember we changed directory to desktop. I'm going to navigate to YouTube projects. And the YouTube project, all I just have to do is to look for Ice Cream Slider, then select the folder. So the folder is going to open now. So this is the folder, we're now on Ice Cream Slider. Okay, so I'm going to change this title, the title of the project to Ice Cream Slider. Okay, close this. Then open my SRC. I'm going to clear this, Ctrl A and delete. Then my app.jsx as well, Ctrl A, delete. Then I'll use REFCE to create a functional React app. This is a shortcut to create a React app. Okay. So to use REFCE, right, you need to have this extension. The extension is called ES7 React Redux React Native. Okay, if you have, I've installed mine, so just install yours. If you have this extension, you can create functional React app using that shortcut I showed earlier, REFCE. So I'm just going to clear this as well. The global CSS also, I'm going to clear it, and then, so I'm going to set everything, margin will be 0, padding to 0. So that's what we have in our index. So in this SRC folder, I'm going to create another folder, which is going to take the ice cream itself. So this is going to be like ice cream folder. Then I'm going to have ice cream. Let me just use slider.jsx. And I'm going to have slider.css as well. Okay. REFCE shortcuts. Alright, so let me close this. Let us check if our React app is working. So npm run dev. That is the command you're going to use to access your React in Chrome or any of your local hosts. So this is the link. Once you hover on this, it will show you follow link. Just click on this link and let us see. So this is working. As you can see, it's showing app because that is what we have. That is what we have in app. Let me minimize this a little. So because that is what we have here. So let's test again. Let me type hello world and let us see. As you can see, it has changed to hello world. So here we have icon, right? That means we need to install React icon, and we're using animation, Framer Motion for that matter. Okay, so we're going to install Framer Motion and as well React icon. So I'm going to search for React icon and also Framer Motion. So now this is what you want to click on for the Framer Motion. Let me just cancel this. For the React icon and for Framer Motion as well, we're using the npm package. So once you're on this URL, copy this, and then in your terminal, I'm using Git Bash. You can use whichever one you like. If you have Git Bash installed, just use it. So I'm going to paste it here and click enter. Now for Framer Motion, once you're here, right, you're going to copy this, head back to your terminal. I'm creating a new one so that I can install both at the same time. Then I paste it here and press enter. Make sure you have internet connection though. So while all of this is going on, I need to get all my images, the ice cream images that I'll be using. So this is my image here. I'm using this I'm using this. And I'm just going to copy into my asset folder. So if you check assets, everything is right here. Ice cream 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I think this is successfully installed. We have installed React icon and Framer Motion. So I can now cancel this. Then we can get started. So here, I'm going to start with slider. So I'm going to render the slider components here. Slider. So right here, I'm going to have slider from this ice cream folder. So this has been, and if we check our browser, this is slider here. So let me just cancel all of this. Okay, let's get started. First thing to do is to import all of the images that we'll be making use of. Okay, so this is ice cream 1 from our asset folder. Okay, this is going to take an underscore. So ice cream 1 from our asset folder. And the first one on the list is this ice cream.png. Okay, we have ice cream.png. So I'm just going to copy and paste this 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to change the value here. This is going to take 2. This is going to take 1. This is going to take 3. This is going to take 2. Right? And this is going to take 4. This is going to take 3. Because the name here is, the first one is ice cream.png. That is why we have it like this though. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to create the content that will be in form of an array. Okay, so the array is going to be an array of objects that will hold all the content that we want to display. So let's create content. So the first thing in the object, the first property, is going to be the title. Here, this is for chocolate ice cream. Then we're going to have the image. This is ice cream 2. Ice cream 2 is chocolate. Let's see. As you can see, the second ice cream is for chocolate. Then I'm going to have the text that will be displayed. This is the text. And also we're going to have background color, because we're animating background as well. So we want to change the background color. So this is the color code for the background color, 371300. So now I'm going to pause this video and create the other 3 objects so that won't take much of our time. Okay, so I've successfully created the 3 other objects. The first being the detail of the chocolate ice cream with the image and the background color. The second being the rainbow ice cream detail with the image, the text, the background color. The third being the easy vanilla ice cream. And the fourth being the strawberry ice cream. Okay, so we're done with all of that. So now we're going to create a state variable that will keep track of which content is currently being displayed. And we're going to create a setter function as well that will update the states. So here, we're going to create a state variable for current index. This is going to keep track of whichever content is being displayed. Okay, and also a setter function that would update the current index state. And then we'll set the use states to 0. 0 being the first item in the array. Okay, so I just created this now. This current index here is a state variable that will keep track of which content. Is it this content or this content? Is it the first or the second? Oh, sorry, that's a mistake. Confused. So we want to keep track of which content is being displayed. Is it the first content or the second or the third or the fourth? And the use state is 0. So 0 being the first item in the array. Remember that array count starts from 0. So this is the first item in our array, and this is 0. This is 1, this is 2. So that's why we have the use state as 0. Now we need to create two functions, the undo previous and the undo next function that will manage the navigation logic. So let us do that right now. I'm creating two functions. The first function is the undo previous function. I'm going to be using an arrow function. The idea behind the undo previous function is to move the current index to the previous item in the content array. So that means that if we are here and we click on the previous, the icon, it should move us back to this. Okay, so let me create the content that will be in this function. Okay, let me explain what I did here now. Okay, so remember that I said this is a setter function, the current index, and I'm passing this previous index, which is going to serve as the current index. So now I'm going to use here, what I did here is that I used a ternary operator to check if the current index, this, is greater than 0 to confirm that the item is not the first one in the array. So here I'm trying to check if the current index, the current item that we're displaying, is not the first item in the array. Okay, if it is greater than 0, that means if it is not the first item in the array, we're going to decrease the current index by 1. That means it will display the previous item. But if it is right here, if it is the first item in the array, we'll display the last item in the content. Okay, so it means that if right here, what we did, let me explain again. Here we're checking if this current index is greater than 0. That means if it is not the last item in the array. We're checking if it is not the last item. This is the last item in the array. So if it is not the last item, if it is this, then if we click on the previous, the undo previous function, the job is to take us back to this. Okay. Then if it is the last item in the array, that means if it is this, then it's going to take us back to this. All right. So that is the job of the undo previous function. Now we're going to create the next function, which is the undo next function. The idea behind the undo next function is to move the current index to the next item in the content. Okay, so I'm going to create the function now. Const undo next. We're using an arrow function. Here we're using the setter function. That is what we use to update. So here I'm checking if the previous index, I'm passing the previous index. So now the main logic is to check if the previous index, previous p, okay, if the previous index is less than the content dot length, here -1. I'll explain this very soon. Then we want to increase it by 1 or display the first item. Okay, so now we've created the undo next function. So the logic is that we're using a ternary operator to check if the current item, okay, we're using a ternary operator to check if the current item index is less than the last index in the array. Okay, this is it here, the current item. We're checking if it is less than the last index in the array. So we're checking the content length to know which is which. If it's less than 1, that is the last index in the array, it will move us to, will increase the current index by 1. That means it will take a step. It will move to the next item that we have in the array. Okay. And then if the current index is the last index, then we want to display the first item. But if it is not, it should take a step forward, right? So that was what we did here. Now let us get to the return. So let me just clean this. Then I'm going to have This is what we want to show in our browser. Okay, so a div tag here. Within this div tag, we would create another div tag for content container. And in the content container, we have left and right side. Let me show you. This is the left hand side, this is the right hand side. The left contains the text, the title, the button, and the icons, while the right only has the image. So I'm going to create a div for the left and the right. Dot content left and dot content right. Okay, so in the left we have the title. So I'm going to use an h2 tag to render the title. So this is going to be content dot title. Okay, this content here. So I want to render the title of each using the h2 tag. Then we have a p tag as well for the text. So we're going to have contents dot text, right? And then we have a button as well. That is the call to action button that says buy now. Also, we have the slider for the next and the previous by showing the icon. So this is going to be a div.slider. In the slider, we're going to have two divs. So the first div is going to take the left arrow, the arrow for the previous one, if we want to slide to the previous item. So this is going to be, let me use arrow left. So because we have installed React icon, it is going to show us list of icons that we can choose from. Okay, so let me just select the one I want to use. So I'm going to be using this. I'll give it the class name of arrow. Then for this, I'm using the arrow that is pointing to the right. So this as well, I'll give it the class name of arrow as well. Okay, so for each of these divs, we're going to have an on-click function so that when the user clicks on the arrow, we are calling the undo previous function. So if the user clicks on the arrow that is going to the left, we're calling the previous function. And here as well, on click for undo next. So when the user click on this arrow that's going to the right, it will display the next item in the array, in the content array. So now we need to check if this is working. So as I click on this next, it's giving us the next. It's displaying the next item. If I click on the previous, it's displaying the previous item. So now let's add the image. Okay, so there's something I did earlier. I'm not sure if it was recorded. Here I passed the current index to here. Okay, I added the current index so that the content that will display, the title that will be displayed will be based on the current index. Okay, the text that will be displayed will be based on the current index. Okay, so that is just it. I just passed this current index here, right? So that if you click on this, it will take you to the current. If you click on this, it will take you to the previous. Let's add the image now. So at the right hand side, before this, I need to add an HR tag because we're going to be needing it. So at the right hand side, we're going to have image, and the image as well is going to we're going to pass the contents based on the current index. All right, dot image, this image here. Okay, so we're passing it here. Here is going to be the content based on the current index, and it will display the image based on the current index. So let us see. So this is the image. So if I click on this, this is what it is showing, right? If I click on this, this is what it is showing. Okay, so since all of this is working, let us start styling with CSS. So I'm going to open my slider with CSS. I need to import it here so that I can make use of it. Import the /slider .css. So I just imported my CSS file into my JSX file. We've done every necessary thing. Everything is working. We've created the state variable and setter function. We've created the function that will undo the previous item, and we've created the function that will undo the next item. So let us style. So I'm going to start with the content container. Paste it here. So the display here for the content container flex, padding of 90 pixels should do it. I'm setting the padding to 90 pixels. Height is going to be 80 VH, and the text color is going to take white. Now we're going to set for the content left and for content right as well. Control Z. What is the problem? Let me copy this again. Okay, so the max width for both will be 50%. Justify content center. Now for the content left, the padding, I'm going to set it to 80 pixels. And the margin top is going to take 2 rem. We have an H2 tag in the content left, which is where we render the title. So the font size is going to be 50 pixels. We have the paragraph tag as well in the left content. So the font size of that is going to be set to 18 pixels, and the margin top will be 20 pixels. We have a button as well, our call to action button that is here in the left content. So the content left, then I'm going to paste this. So the button, the padding is going to be 1 rem, 3 rem. Okay, the margin top is going to be 20 pixels. The border, I'll set it to none. And then the background is going to be white. And the text color in the button is going to be black. The font weight of the text is going to be 600. And the border radius is going to be 30 pixels. Okay, and we have the slider container in the left content. So the content left, the slider, the margin top is going to take 7 rem. Display is going to be flex, and the gap between each is going to be 15 pixels. Then we have the arrow. We have a class name for arrow right here. Let me show you that here. Okay, the class name for each of the icon. So let us tell both icon. The font size is going to be 2 rem, and the color is going to be white. Then now to the right content, let us style it. The position is going to be relative. Then the image margin top is going to be minus 40 pixels. The width is going to take 550 pixels, and the height is going to take 650 pixels. So this is what we have currently. Because we set all the text to white, the background of the icon to white, the button, everything is white. Let us change it to black before we change it back. So this, I'm just going to comment this out. I'm going to comment this, and here I'm going to comment this. So this is what we have now. So when we start the animation where we change the background, you're going to see this is going to be in white, but this is what we have now. Let us see. As you can see, this has changed. We've not applied animation yet. This has changed. Easy vanilla, this has changed. Okay, so everything is working well. Now let us work on the animation as we have it here. Okay, that the image will slide in from right. Then if we click on the previous, it will slide in from the left. This is a very beautiful animation. So let us work on that with Framer Motion. So I'm just going to, so we're back here in our JSX file. We're going to animate this div. Let me import Framer Motion first off. So here, import motion from Framer Motion. Okay, then let's get started. So we're going to start by animating the background. We're animating this because we want to change the background colors. We have defined each of these background colors here. Okay, so in this div tag, this is where we're going to be animating. So this is going to have motion.div because we're using Framer Motion. The last one here also, motion.div. Okay, now let us start. So I'm going to pass the initial props. So this is going to have, let me make this readable. So initial, the scale, we'll set the scale to 0.3. Then I'll pass the animate props as well. Here we're working with background color because that's what we want to animate. Background color, we are changing to animate the background color based on the current index. Okay, based on the content that we're displaying. That's the kind of background that we want, and we already have that set. So we're going to have content here. We're going to pass current index. Okay, dot background color. Then I want to set the scale as well. So the scale is going to be 1. Okay. Then we'll add the transition as well. So we'll pass the transition props. Transition. We'll set the duration to 0.6. 0.6. So this is it. You can see it now. The image is changing. The background is changing. You can see a different background each time we click. So this is it. So if you notice, our background is not fully animated on all of the content. Let me show you what I mean. If I reload here, you can see that this is animated. The scale starts from 0.3 and it stops at 1. You can see. But if we click on this next, it is not fully animated on each of the content. It only works with the first content. So we need to make sure that the animation restarts on each content change. So I'm going to pass the key props. Let me show you. So right here, I'm going to pass the key prop on this div here. So where we're animating our background, and I'm going to set the key to the current index to ensure that the animation is rendered on each content change. So here I'm passing the key prop and I'm going to set it to current index. This is to ensure that the animation will restart on each content change. Okay, so now let us see if it is working. Can you see that it is working perfectly well? This is giving what we want it to give. Next is to work on animating the image, the slide in and slide out. For the image, we are working with direction. So when we click on the next icon, let me show you. This is what we're currently building. This is what I have built already. If you click on this next icon, you can see that the image slides in from right. Okay, and if we click on the previous icon, the image slides in from left. So we need to work on the direction where our image is sliding in and sliding out. So now what we need to do, let's go back to our VS Code. So to get the direction, we need to create a state variable for direction that will track the direction of our image, where it is sliding in from and where it is sliding out to. So I'm going to create a state variable and a setter function to update the state, and I'm going to set it to 1. So right here, I'll create a state variable for direction and a setter function, direction that would update the state, and I'm going to set it to 1. Right, so now let us animate the image. So here on the previous function, I'm going to set the set direction to -1. Okay, that means it should go to the opposite direction, and the next is going to be 1. Set direction, this is going to be 1. Okay, now back to our image. So this is going to be motion dot image because we're working with Framer motion. Oh, what is that? Okay, now we need to apply animation to this image element. I just started with the motion dot image. Then I'll set the initial, the x-axis will take the direction times 1000. Then we'll animate. Let me just write the code. So let me pass the initial prop. Initial. Okay. On the x-axis, because we're working with left and right, we have our state direction multiplied by 1000. Okay, and I'll set the opacity as well to 0. We're also going to pass the animate prop because that is the main thing. We want to animate it. We're going to set the x-axis to 0 because we want the image to be at the center when it slides in, whether it's left or right. We want it to be at the center. Okay, now I'm going to set the opacity to 1. Now for the exit prop, we want it to exit on the opposite direction, right? So this is going to be direction times 1000, and I'll set the opacity as well to 1. Then here, the transition, the duration is going to be 0.5. Okay, let us see. So let us see. This is working as we want it to. This is sliding in from right when we click on the next, and it will slide in from left if we click on the previous. So we just need to uncomment all of what we commented in our CSS for this color change. So back to the slider.css, so I'm going to uncomment this, and this as well. Then this is what we have. Okay, so as you can see, this is sliding in properly. This is all looking good.